So those were the two main presidential candidates, but today's election is not just about them. America is also voting for its Congress. The Congress is the legislative body. It has a lower house called the House of Representatives and an upper house called the Senate. In this election, all seats in the House of Representatives are up for grabs. That's 435 seats, plus 34 out of 100 seats in the Senate are also being contested. You also have 13 governorships on the ballot. These are for state governors. And a number of state and local level elections are also happening today. When the US has an election, it really goes all out. Right now, I want to focus on one aspect of today's election, that is Indian Americans and their role in American politics. There are two sides to this story, the politicians and the voters. Let's start with the politicians. 9 Indian Americans have their names on the ballot today. All of them are fighting for a seat in the US Congress, in the House of Representatives. Let's go one by one, starting with Suhas Subramaniam. He is a member of the Democratic Party, currently a senator from the state of Virginia, but he's trying to get elected to the House of Representatives today. If he wins, he'll become the first Indian American elected from Virginia and the entire US East Coast. Next, we have the 5 incumbents, 5 Indian Americans who are already members of the House and trying to get re-elected. There's Pramila Jayapal, Amy Bera, Raja Krishnamurthy, Sri Thanedar and Ro Khanna. All 5 of them are Democrats. They've been serving in the House for years and they're looking to extend their tenures. Let's also look at the fresh faces. There's Amish Shah. He's also a Democrat and he is a politician in the state of Arizona. Today he's fighting his first federal election. He's up against a 7-term Republican incumbent. Let's see if he can pull off an upset. Next, we have 2 Indian American Republicans, Prasant Reddy, who's contesting from Kansas, and Rajesh Mohan, standing from New Jersey. Reports say that these 2 Republicans will have a hard time getting elected. But let's see how it goes for them. Perhaps they'll get support from the Indian American community. It may help push them over the line. Because Indian Americans have a growing and influential presence in the US. They have become a key voting demographic. We went down to Fairfax County recently. It's a hub for Indian Americans near Washington, D.C. And here's what we saw. Millions of Indians have made their way to America over the decades. They have made a name for themselves in the business and tech world. Indian Americans are often called the model minority. But this election season, they're also being seen through another lens. They are being seen as a crucial voting bloc, one with the power to influence the final outcome in the presidential race. We are in Fairfax County in the state of Virginia. This is part of the greater Washington area. It's America's national capital region. Now, Fairfax is one of the richest regions in the US and it is home to a large number of Indian immigrants. Some 32,000 Indian Americans live in Fairfax. They make up almost 3% of the population. And in an election as close as this one, 3% can make all the difference. Indian immigrants have made an economic mark in Fairfax over the years. On average, they are better educated and wealthier than any other immigrant group. They're even doing better than US-born citizens. Indian immigrants have a higher rate of home ownership and more incorporated businesses than any other demographic in Fairfax. So you can say that they've been a dominant economic force for a while. And that's the case across most of the US. But now, along with economic power, Indian immigrants also have political power. There are about 5.2 million Indian Americans. This includes both first-generation immigrants and their descendants. About 2.6 million Indian Americans are eligible to vote in this election, and both major parties are vying for their vote. Donald Trump recently put out this tweet on Diwali. Look at the points he's raising. Trump basically says that he's the best man for Hindus, and so Hindu Americans should vote for him. Not all Indian Americans are Hindus, of course, but they are in the majority. So this is a pitch for most of the Indian American vote. Kamala Harris tried to capitalize on Diwali as well, putting out this video to make one last appeal to Indian Americans. Over the course of this presidential campaign, the Democrats have tried their best to capture the Indian American vote. They've been canvassing for months, using slogans like Desis Decide or Desis Vote. The Democrats have been active in all the swing states in particular.
You can make the difference in this election. Please sign up with Indian American Impact. You can go to desipresident.com. Sign up right now to get engaged. Let's win this election.
The registration site is desipresident.com, a not-so-subtle highlighting of Kamala Harris's ethnicity. The Democrats have also roped in prominent Indian American celebrities, like former Top Chef host Padma Lakshmi, who campaigned door-to-door in Pennsylvania. It was an all-out blitz by the Democratic Party. But despite all this effort, they've been bleeding Indian American votes. A nationwide survey of Indian Americans was conducted recently in the weeks leading up to the election, and the results are disappointing for Democrats. Indian Americans have historically leaned towards the Democratic Party, but the new survey shows a slight shift towards Donald Trump. In the 2020 election, 68% of Indian Americans said they would vote Democrat for Joe Biden. Only 22% said they would vote for Trump. This time, the gap has reduced. About 60% say they would vote for Harris. That's a significant increase for the Republicans. And in such a close race, it could power them to the White House. Indian Americans have historically leaned towards the Democrats. Most of them still do. But of late, Donald Trump and the Republicans have made some gains. And the biggest reason for that is illegal immigration. Take the example of Fairfax County. It is home to a lot of Indian immigrants. Most of them came here legally. And they've had to wait for years for their citizenship papers to be processed. Some of them are still waiting. So they're upset. The people who came to America legally, they're upset with the Democrats for failing to control the borders. Illegal immigration was rampant for the last 3 years. Tens of thousands were crossing the border every month and getting benefits that legal migrants had to wait years for. This turned some immigrant communities against the Democrats. Some Indian Americans too. They believe that Donald Trump is the better choice when it comes to securing America's southern border, which is why thousands of Indian Americans will be voting Republican for the first time. Will this prove to be Kamala Harris's undoing? We'll find out in a few hours. Washington is all set for a presidential battle like no other.
In less than 90 days, it's either going to be him or me sitting in the Oval Office.
Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump.
All we want is one simple thing: get out on Tuesday and go.
A vice president versus a former president. As we head towards election night, Vantage will be live from the heart of the action. Speaking to voters in this final stretch,
I'm still very undecided.
Very close presidential race.
Tracking the campaigns as they make the last push. From exclusive ground reports to in-depth analysis, this is your one-stop destination for the presidential race. Join us on this special edition of Vantage, live from the White House in Washington, D.C.